So earlier today, Play Pokemon announced a bunch of new information regarding the 2026 season. And honestly, there's a lot of really cool stuff we can talk about today. Now, I will have this trailer kind of playing on in the background here. As you can see, this season was, captioned with "Get ready for a new season of mega proportions," all caps. Information regarding the 2026 championship season is now live. Now, megas in all caps is very, very interesting. And I'll probably spend the back end of the video kind of just discussing it and really the potential that has. But as you can see here, we do have a link from Play Pokemon over to the website here, kind of going over everything, right? So there's a bunch of stuff here that, we'll kind of go through, right? We've got things like, the locals when it starts, changes to the Swiss format. We have slight adjustments to CP. There is a massive change to the Global Challenge. And there was also a bunch of regional championships announced. And also like a small thing here as well that I guess I'll quickly touch on. I could be wrong in saying this, but I believe there's like some pretty big changes to the Play Pokemon website. Like, I don't remember it ever looking like this, but like, it's pretty cool. It feels like everything's kind of here. There's a lot of information. And yeah, it's kind of just like everything's here. Like, I don't ever remember being able to see all the regionals that were announced like this, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, we will jump into all that shortly. But thankfully, our friends over at Victory Road, as you can see here, have done a bit of a pin post. The new season is upon us, and they basically just have, a bunch of dot points here, and then they kind of go into breaking down everything below. So I will be using this just to kind of make this video a little bit cleaner, as I did read through a lot of this when I was at work. And right now, I kind of just want to, give my thoughts on everything here. And I think Victory Road has done a great job of summarizing it. So as we can see here, step one, local events. The championship points, CP for local challenges and cups are maintained, but the kickers have been adjusted, lowering the league challenge with 14 players and raising the cups with 33 plus players. I don't know how it is everywhere else. For me, I guess this is like kind of bad because like in Australia, like it's difficult, right? Because early on in the wait, have I read this wrong? Actually, lowered the league challenges with 14 plus players. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know, like, because the thing is, like, early in the season, we'll get a bunch of players, but then towards the end of the season, it starts dropping off, especially once people hit their BFLs. But honestly, to me, this is, like, kind of much of a muchness. This all seems fine to me. Like, if you want top 4 points, 8 players is, like, definitely worth it. Oh, yeah, no, this has been adjusted, because I think before, for 5 to 8, they needed to be 16, so I guess that's actually a positive. Especially if you're someone who, I guess, wants that top 8 placement. I think, realistically, if you're trying to make worlds, you really want your BFLs at least all top 4. And in challenges in particular, you probably want top 2. But then obviously here as well, we have the League Cups. Now, again, this is very, very similar where it's like, I think if you're someone trying to get to Worlds, your BFL, you really, really want top 4. You want at least 4 top 4s at a bare minimum. Again, top 2s are definitely a lot better. But yeah, this is like much of a muchness. It's definitely one of the smaller changes. It does seem like it's a bit of a buff in hindsight. I thought it was a nerf, but after reading it again, I do think this is better because I do believe the top 8 kicker in particular used to be 16. Which is definitely pretty damn good, especially if you do have like a lot of smaller events, right? That's the main thing. If you play in a circuit where maybe you only get like say 10 people to your locals, or in this case 15, definitely very, very good. So the second major thing here is how the major events have changed. This is your regionals, your special events, and your international championships. Essentially, every event that has 65 or more players will have an extra round of Swiss on day 2 in particular. An asymmetrical top cut will now be capped at 16 players. Now, this is pretty important for a few reasons, right? And I guess to kind of break it down for you guys right now, with the current system that we have, there will almost always be more than 16 players who make it through to top cut, right? And because it's asymmetrical top cut, normally you have a top 32 where only really those top handful of players get a bye and everyone else kind of has to fight for their place in top 16. Now, if you have an X2 record, you are guaranteed top 16, which is pretty big because a lot of regionals will cap out at like, top 16 for money, right? So you can have a player who, maybe has like an amazing run where they go, XO, maybe X1, and they're forced to play that first round and then they lose. And then it's like, oh, I just went X2 and I don't get the money. So I do think that is like really, really good. In terms of just, it raises that bar a little bit. I will say I'm not a massive fan of like playing more rounds personally because I know it can be very mentally draining. But also in saying that, I've also never been top 16 in an event. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I've been close, but I was always one win short of that. But so I do think this is really interesting. More CP for 9th through 16th as well is pretty cool. 9 through 64, sorry, yeah, so 100, oh, that's the kicking. So that's 120. I think that used to be 100 on the dot of memory. I think this is a good jump as well because having that extra 40 points on top 128 is really, really important because it's like, I'm not gonna sit here and say that top 128 is like easy, especially if you're playing at events, you know, with like more players, like especially if you're at like say you're playing a regional that has, you know, 1,000 players. It's not very easy, but a lot of the smaller mid-size events, like if you're playing an event with anywhere between, you know, 300 to 500, realistically, if you're trying to make a world's push, top 128 is pretty easy. I don't want to say easy. It feels bad saying that, but like it's definitely not the hardest achievement out there. But top 64 is, right? And I do think, you know, making that gap a bit bigger is definitely very, very good. I'm excited to see that. And of course, as well, we see the international here, you know, same thing. Having that extra 40 points there, I do think does make a big difference. That jump from top 64 to top 32 is actually a bit bigger than I expected it to be. See, part of me almost thinks that top 64 also needs a bit of a jump, but again, much of a muchness. Hopefully it doesn't affect anyone's seasons at the end of the day. But we also have here the online events have been changed to the Global Challenge and the Grand Challenge. Will give out championship points based on the region. Now, this here is one of the biggest changes, I think. And I think this is actually fantastic, right? Because you can have a pretty good run, right? And, you know, maybe you get top 128 and you're feeling good about yourself. And that might just put you, you know, say top 16 in your region. I'll tell you right now, that happened with me. I had a global challenge earlier in the year, only one of the few I actually participated in. I didn't have the best run, if I'm being honest. I was pretty disappointed. I ended up around 1700. I definitely think I could have pushed a lot higher, but it just wasn't my day. I wasn't playing well. And I ended up coming at like 119th. And thankfully, one of my fellow Australians did put together a bit of a spreadsheet earlier today, basically saying like, hey, you know, if this was just based off, you know, Australia, this is where you would have finished. And I ended up being 11th, and I think that that's pretty cool, you know. Yeah, sure, you know, globally I was like 119th, which is also pretty cool. But finishing 11th in Australia was pretty sick. And I do think as well that gives a lot more points to, you know, like regions in particular, right? Because again, I had some, you know, pretty average performances in my opinion this year, but again, having that top 16 in a global challenge, I think is pretty important. And I definitely think heading into Worlds 2026, you definitely are probably going to want to have like your BFL, at least like 3 top 32s in global challenge, especially in a region like Australia. I don't think it's going to be like too difficult to at least get like 3 top 64s. But I definitely think you want to try locking those 3 top 32s, which yeah, is going to be very, very important. They also go on to show off here a lot of the regionals that have been announced for the season. I do believe this is in order. So we've got Frankfurt will kick us off in mid-September. We have Monterrey. I apologize. Monterrey? Dude, I can't English. Wherever that is, I apologize. Pittsburgh. Looks like we've got one over in Brazil. Milwaukee, Lille. A bunch of different events here. If you want to like check this out, I would definitely recommend going here. I'm not going to go through like every event. But yeah, there's a lot of really cool events, I guess, coming up. The big one I've seen everyone talking about is Vegas here, November 16th. That's like super sick. I think it's like the first ever Las Vegas regional, which is like really cool. But another big one for me, especially, you know, for me and my fellow, I guess, Australians or Oceania players, we have the Auckland special event back as well. Like, I think this might be the first Auckland special event we've had since like pre-COVID, which is actually like really cool. And it means like an extra regional down here in Oceania, which is like definitely sick. And I'm excited to hopefully go to New Zealand next year to play some VGC. I think that's like really cool. But I guess, yeah, the final big thing as well that was announced today was the championships invites. Now, as you'll see here, the US, Europe, and LATAM all gained an extra 5 invites. So previously, Europe and the USA had 75. LATAM, I believe, actually only had 50, so I think they got plus 10. But I'm like really disappointed Oceania wasn't touched. To us only having 20 players, especially in Masters, I think is like really bad, especially for VG. Like, we have a lot of really good, talented players here that put in a lot of effort, and it's like pretty difficult to get one of those top 20 spots. And unfortunately, it's like not here, but our TCG also only gets 20 spots, which is like absolutely ridiculous, right? Like, our VG events normally get anywhere between 250 to 300 players. And also another thing as well, we like get invaded by Japan all the time. Like, Shohei was at like all of our regionals this year, which is like kind of crazy. But our TCG also only gets like 20 invites, and they have like all their regionals like 500 plus players, which is absolutely like absurd considering like if you look at like some of the LATAM like regionals, so like not to pick on LATAM here, of course, but it's just I see them with 60 and us with 20. I get kind of sad, but like LATAM had like regionals with like 50-60 players this year, I'm pretty sure, like maybe special events. So to see us with like our smallest events like 200 plus and we get like a third of the invites is definitely kind of crazy. Especially too when I definitely think we could host a lot more regionals here in Oz, but I mean, like it is what it is at the end of the day. It's not my call, but I will say I do like seeing more, you know, slots, but like it gets difficult, right? Because like I was talking to one of my friends about this earlier, and like I do think if you want to go the route of like making this like a proper esport, like slots are really good, and I am going to be really interested to see how Worlds goes this year, just because like, you know, I don't know how many like Japanese and like other Asian country players like Korea and Singapore and whatnot, how many players there's going to be at this event, but I'm guessing it's going to be like at least half of last year's, like maybe even 1/3. So it's going to be really interesting to see, I guess, how the quality of games changes. Like I'm not against limiting the amount of players that go to Worlds, but like I will say I would much prefer them actually do it by like just making the cap way higher. Like I just want to see, like, for example, will this like give me everything I want? So like let's just go like US and Canada, right? So it's like top 75 makes it, yeah. So what'd that be, like page 3? Yeah, so like Brady Smith comes in at 75th with like 970. So like, is there like a world where you could say, hey, for next season in particular, especially because it looks like there will be more points on the board, where could you just say like in the US, hey, your cap is 1,000, right? Because then again, like you have a look at it right now, only 63 players have made this. Of course, you know, when we go back to, when you go back to like looking at what's happened here with the global challenges, there's going to be a lot more points on the board, right? Like there are going to be players who, you know, as I said earlier, that one, like top 128 or, you know, that top 256, all of a sudden is going to turn into like top 32s, top 64s for the region. And because of that, there's going to be more points on the board. And like, part of me thinks like, rather than having like 80 slots, you just say, hey, also shout out John Zoo, the homie there. Have it like the cap be like 1,000 points, right? Because, and the reason I think like this is super important, and I think I was like a great example of it this year. Sometimes players just want to take breaks, man. Like I grinded VG for like 4 months straight last year. Like from what was like, would it have been like September to December? I like grinded, put in like, you know, like I like tried to, you know, do like the best I could. And then I took like a 2.5 month break, like to, you know, because I was just like, I was burnt out. I played so much. I took a big break. I prepared for Brisbane. I went into Brisbane with like another like month prep, and it was like the most prep I ever had. And like since then, like I haven't played the game much, just because like I've been so burnt out. I haven't enjoyed the format, all that kind of stuff. But like at least if you're in that position, you know, you can earn all your points early and then like take that 3-4 month break before World. So yeah, something like that I think would have been like cool to see, especially if they want to keep it restricted. I'm fine with that. I think you just got to approach it in like a different way. And like here, yeah, as well, like Europe, right? Top 75 is like 930. Again, same thing. There's going to be more points on the board. Just raise the cap to like 1,000. Like, I don't think if they raise the cap to 1,000, all of a sudden there's going to be 150 players from Europe qualifying. And like, what are we in Oz, man? Let's have a look at Oceania. Because ours is definitely a lot lower just because we have less events. But like, we're like top 20. Yeah, so like, even in Oz, man, like, dude, oh, man. Actually, no, Sam makes this, right? Because I think we got some invites. Like, yeah, Oliver gets like his invite automatically. Oh, dude, shout out Dim. But yeah, and I think also Diego as well. Yeah, gets an automatic invite. So like the cutoff is like here, right? At Sam Pendelis, right? Just make our benchmark 700. Like I think that's completely fine. Only 20 odd players, like even 750. If you want to like go that little step further, put it like 750, and then that way it's like, hey, if you make it, you can take your time off. Fantastic. Like I really think that's the way you do this. Like I don't hate the idea of a hard cap. I just don't. I mean, I kind of. It's like, I don't hate the idea of it. It's just the uncertainty, right? You see like all these players that went to NAIC and they were just like, oh, you know, I don't know if like I'm actually safe going into NAIC. Like, I think I saw like Brian Sableye VGC talk about it. He was like, yeah, like I felt like I was like in a pretty good spot and like I was pretty locked for Worlds. But at the same time, you know, like if everyone below me like kind of goes crazy, I'm kind of screwed. So yeah, because of that, I don't love the idea of the hard cap. I just wish they would use the cap and say, okay, this is how many points you need. You know, make Oceania 750, make US and Europe 1,000. Probably LATAM could probably be something pretty similar, just for the sake of me going crazy. Let's have a look. What was LATAM? I think LATAM was like top 50 this season, right? Yeah, just say like LATAM 800 points or like 850, 900, whatever you want to do. Probably like, I think 800 would be fair. Put it at LATAM at like 800 points. I think that'd be fair. But yeah, so like a lot of information, a lot of it's really, really cool. And I guess quickly, just to like round it off here, I do kind of want to talk about this right here, because they did, you know, they did all caps mega. And if, you know, you watch this trailer that I played at the start, they show like 3 different like key art pieces. We got Mega Venusaur there. We have Mega Charizard X here. We have Mega Blastoise here. And then Mega Charizard Y rounds out the video. I believe I muted it. There's nothing like crazy that's said in it. It's kind of just like a get hyped for the season type thing. But yeah, I guess that kind of really hints at Pokemon Champions in particular item. It's funny. So I actually recorded a video like last week that I was supposed to edit and upload this weekend. Unfortunately, life was just busy. I didn't get it up. Feels bad, man. I'm kind of disappointed I didn't get it up. Especially before this, because it was like I recorded like a whole video. It's like an hour plus. I'll probably like cut it down to like 40 minutes, but it was a whole video talking about champions and basically the future of VGC and kind of giving my thoughts on it. So I won't go like too far into it here, but I do kind of want to briefly touch on it and just throw in my prediction at the end of this video, just in case I'm lazy and never get around to editing the other one. But I do think this is just there's two things, right? So obviously we've seen in Champions, Mega Charizard X was showcased in the game. We also do know for the TCG as well that I believe the next new set that was like just announced is like revolving around Megas. If we go to like Play Pokemon's website, do they have it? They probably don't, right? I think it's like, yeah, you'd have to go to the actual Pokemon website to see it. Yeah, that kind of feels bad, man. Or is it just here somewhere? Pokemon TCG? Or maybe if I go TCG, it'll like show it. Yeah, probably not. That's like that one. That's the one that just dropped. Yeah, look, I'm not around the TCG stuff. I'm not gonna go too crazy looking for this. But yeah, basically, I think there's a really, really good chance that we're playing at Pokemon Champions at the end of this year. My prediction, and I've like told my friends this, and I did put it in my video. I'm actually predicting that the game launches August 22nd. The reason for that is we have the presents coming up on July 22nd. And I don't know, it was just like I saw the Donkey Kong Presents the other day. Like the Donkey Kong Presents came out, like it was basically exactly 1 month before the release date of DK. And I'm like, damn, they're going to do the same thing with Champions. They're going to show it at the Pokemon Presents. They're going to drop a month later. I think we will see Champions at Worlds in some capacity. I think the coolest thing ever would be like, hey, just shadow drop not shadow drop, but like, have the juniors, seniors, and masters world finals all be played on Champions. I think that would be like really cool if like, Wolf Glick or whoever gets up there and they're just playing Pokemon Championships, Champions for the 2026 finals. Probably not going to happen just because, this season is obviously played on Scarvy, but I think that would like be really, really cool. Yeah, dude, I firmly believe we are going to be playing Pokemon Champions for the 2026 season. And this kind of just solidifies it for me because, again, it's going to be mega proportions. Dude, like, we're getting Champions, we're getting Megas. The Gen 1 Megas the Gen 1 starter Megas are going to be in the game. Man, that's just my prediction. I'm so excited, dude. Like, I can't stress how excited I am for Pokemon Champions. Like, I honestly, I was so excited to play restricted formats, and Reg G and I have been, like, two of the worst experiences I've had playing VGC. Like, and again, I'll go into it in a later video, but I have just not enjoyed the past two formats at all. I'm so excited for something new. I'm so excited for, like, the Power Creep to be dropped. I don't want Restricteds. I don't want Paradox. I don't want Urshifu. I don't want Taunt, Lando, Thundy. Like, just get rid of all these, like, OP mons, man. Let us play with some just, like, Kanto, bloody Johto decks. Like, I think that would just be so fun, dude. I mean, probably be broken. You're just going to play, like, Charizard, Mega Charizard, Y plus Venusaur in the sun, and you're going to have a good time. But yeah, guys, I think, look, that's enough rambling for me. Obviously, there is a lot coming up for VGC. I think the 2026 season is going to be super exciting. Of course, let me know down below what you think. Bloody, look at Wolf out here. Yeah, dude, I'm super excited. Yeah, let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on this video down below. And I will catch you guys, hopefully, in the next one pretty quickly. Peace.